Karen,
Yes.
what if instead of learning about a new modality or talking about another awakening ceremony today, what if we explored the possibility that we've got all the tools and wisdom inside of us already right now?
That would be pretty amazing.
Right? I mean, let's go a little deeper on that. What if our bodies weren't just these meat suits that we walk around in all day?
You know, I've never liked the term meat suit. Can we call it something else?
I can neither confirm nor deny that might be the reason why I said the word meat suits.
I know, right?
Okay, what if our bodies weren't just, as our guest calls them, space suits that we walk around in, but rather actually leading the way for us? Like, what if they were the most spiritual thing about us?
So, like the opposite of what everybody else says.
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of, yeah. So today's guest feels that we can learn to tune into our body's wisdom, energy, and emotions to accelerate our growth more than ever before. She believes that our bodies are on the spiritual journey as much as we are. And in fact, she says that without our bodies, there would be no journey at all. Well, this fascinating concept is what we're diving into in this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians. And now back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, it's Will. Yep, I have something else on my mind. Before we get started with the interview, I wanted to talk about something with you. You see, most people know that Karen and I are all about service to others, and every spiritual book, every spiritual teacher, every message that you get, everybody is saying how important it is to be of service to others. And in fact, in my life, I've noticed that the more I'm in service to others, the more positive things happen to me. The less I think about myself and more about others, the more good things come to me as a result. It just makes sense. It's an energy exchange. The more energy you give to someone, the more energy comes back to you, right? Whether you're pagan and you believe in the law of three, which says that whatever you send out to the universe, you get back to you 3 times, or you believe in the law of karma, that says what you give out, you receive. Almost every thought process out there talks about this energy exchange. The giving of something is what you get in return. So I've been trying to live my life for the last few years with that thought foremost in my mind. And it's been truly a wonderful experience. It's been eye-opening. It's been wonderful, truly wonderful to see, for example, the success of this show. The more we are in service to you, the listener out there, the more that the show grows. And it's been wonderful. So I want to live my life with that thought process in mind at all times. But very recently, some of you may know, I underwent a difficult period in my professional life where I didn't feel like I was treated the way that I felt I should have been treated. Now, I completely understand it's a totally ego-driven, judgmental thought process, and I understand where it comes from. But I won't go into that here. Just know that I understand and I recognize it's not how I should have thought about the whole process. But no matter how much I focus on spirituality, come on, let's face it, I'm still just a human being, just like everyone else. And I'm learning. I'm on this path of learning and discovery just like you. So petty things like that, like not getting a job that I felt I was perfect for, still affect me as much as I don't want them to. So in this case, it affected me in a very, very, very hard way. And it's almost like a sort of PTSD where I'm having a hard time shaking it. I meditate every day. I focus on the teachings. I have interviews with wonderful spiritual people that help me put things in perspective. Friends that I value very much remind me of things like the surrender experiment and being of service to others and all those thought processes. And it works for a bit. But I always seem to fall back. And I'm finding that I'm falling into a more ego-driven, self-serving, day-to-day decision-making process. And I have to admit that I'm not liking myself these days again as much. So I'm trying to keep myself focused on service to others again. So I'm writing these concepts on sticky notes, and I'm putting them everywhere, on my computer, in the kitchen, in my bathroom mirror, everywhere, anywhere that I can see them, just so I can remind myself the importance of understanding and really knowing and living the fact that I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve others. And if there's anything I can do to serve others, that is a focus that I need to follow, that I want to follow. So friends, if you feel lost like I somewhat am right now, I invite you to change your focus too. Put your sticky notes everywhere. Remind yourself over and over again of the right way to move forward, the way that you know is the right way to move forward, and be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace and understanding, because we all know we do live in this three-dimensional world. We are in these physical bodies, and our minds have been programmed for such a long time that it's going to take some doing for us to get beyond it. So be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, and when you fall, just get back up again. Take the next step, just like I'm trying to do now. Thanks for listening, guys. This really helped get this off my chest. Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today we're excited to welcome Loren Cellentani to the show. Like many people, Loren has spent a good portion of her life feeling like a victim to her body and emotions. Haven't we all? Now, she's since realized that there's a way to harness our sovereign power through the body, and she's developed a method that incorporates breathwork, movement, and visualization to unleash that energy so we can reclaim our unlimited power. Now, Loren helps folks to harness the power of their emotions in order to manifest their calling with passion and purpose. I cannot be more excited to welcome Loren Cellentani to the show. Loren, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. It's such an honor to talk about these spacesuits with you today.
I'm gonna like our conversation already, Loren. I can tell. This is awesome. Okay, lots and lots and lots of questions comes to mind, but the very first thing that I need to ask you is, how is it that our bodies could possibly be on a spiritual journey? You hear about our souls doing all this, but are our bodies different than us? Like, how does that work?
Well, as you guys know, we're in this 3D reality. And without these bodies, my belief and what I've experienced and what all the great teachers say is that we need this body to be able to feel. Because in this world of duality or contrast, we are able to learn at a faster rate than we would at a soul level, or not in a physical or a dense type of reality and an embodiment in this body. So looking at our bodies not as something that's in the way, whether it's chronic disease or disease in your body, whether it's an emotion, whether it's acne, whatever plagues you, quote unquote, it's really here to help teach you that your body is not in the way, it's leading the way. And my journey really started out, I had years of chronic digestion issues. And then when I graduated from university, I had my first panic attack ever. And that led to years of chronic anxiety. And I was kind of confused of, what the F was going on with me in this body. Now, retrospectively, hindsight's always 20/20. I now know my body was awakening, and it was telling me I had created this life that wasn't my life. Up until that point, I was the good girl. I had the good grades. I went to a good university, got a degree, and then had a job lined up literally like the next week after this graduation ceremony. And my body was like, hold up. This is not what you're meant for. But at the time, I'm just like losing my shit. It's just never experienced anything like that. And I went a very 3D approach. At the time, I was in my early 20s. I really wasn't into all this woo stuff, if you will, that I say very lovingly.
So wait, like last year then?
Yeah.
Because you do not look
more than a decade ago plus. Thank you.
Well, whatever you're doing with your body is working out. So.
It's because I love her. I love this body. Okay. She's on a journey with me here. So, you got to love the meat suit. That's just going to keep coming up. I can't.
Sorry, Karen.
Can't let that go, Karen.
Is it raw meat or is it cooked? I got to know. That'll make a difference.
I'm sorry about that.
Depends on the day. I do live in Southern Florida, so it depends how much sun I got. So
okay, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well, so let me ask you a question really
Yeah.
quickly because you're talking about your body and
Yeah.
anxiety attacks and things like that. A lot of people actually assign that to our minds. Now,
Mm.
are you separating those two, or is that one and the same for you?
I think the way that I access me personally, and I think it's kind of lost in terms of in the awakening community, especially divine feminine energy, is being going through the body to connect with the divine, to connect with your mind, to connect with that subconscious part of you, rather than going out in the body, let's say in a meditation and overcoming the mind through just letting go. But what I have found is listening to the body, my emotions, the physical sensations, that I can allow whatever's coming up to go deep into that physical part of it and kind of open up and move that energy. And always, always, always on the other side of it, there's this wisdom. So for me, I don't think they're two separate things in the way that one's good, one's bad. For me, it was always so much easier intuitively. This was my gift, I think, to go through it through the body. You know, I've spent years meditating, and I love that. But for me, the quickest way to get there is through the body, this is why I love breath work and movement so much, is because we tend to get stuck in our heads and we've lost the sense of being present in our bodies. And in the present moment, that's where our power lies. That's where our awareness lies. So when we can start to build the awareness of what our body's telling us, and that includes those thoughts and emotions, that's when we know we can figure out when we're lost in the future or in the past, or just, lost in our head, and we can start to dive into really what's coming up by just being present and allowing those sensations, whether it's emotional or physical. So I don't know. I think that kind of answered what you were going for there. Just a different way to get there, I think.
Yeah, no, you did. It's just that for me, when I had my anxiety attacks, I went to a shrink, right? So
Yes.
I didn't work on my body. I worked on my mind. So to me, I always say that we are a 3-body problem. We are mind, body, and spirit. And so this kind of meshes two of them together in a sort of way that I hadn't heard of before. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. And luckily, or maybe not so luckily, everything's happening for me, right? My family, there was such a stigma of mental health that I didn't really end up going the traditional route. So I think it was more like through my body, just intuitively, even then, that I figured out how to work through this and be able to feel those emotions and be led by myself, which is my body who's guiding me, rather than, sometimes going to therapy or having a coach or a guru. What I'm so passionate about is why I love working with this beautiful thing called my body, which is me, is I get to listen and trust myself and learn these skills rather than trying to look outside of myself for somebody to tell me what to do, which is a huge part of my lesson. Sometimes that might resonate with people, sometimes it might not. But to learning to be your own sovereign being, which means realizing that you do create your reality and that you do get to choose what you think and what you believe and how you feel. And it comes back to being present and allowing and listening to what's coming up for you.
So what about chronic pain?
Yeah.
Like back pain or knee pain or anything like that. Is that your body telling you need to do something? Or is that, a result of, working out improperly or the environment or something you ate?
Yeah, for me, so I started health coaching when I started getting into this years ago. And what I found, to go a little bit around what you just asked and circle back, is so many of these women I was coaching knew what foods felt good in their body. They knew they loved moving their bodies, exercise, yoga, Pilates, but they're having all these chronic issues like digestive issues, migraines, infertility issues. And what I found I was teaching these women was just, basics of law of attraction, basics of mindfulness, of being able to take a second to be present with your body when you're eating, when you're moving, and not just rushing through life and doing 3 things at once. And that was able to solve pretty much every single problem that these women were having. And that's when I realized, okay, I really need to start transitioning into more of this embodiment manifestation work. It's not just about the body. And for me, I've been on this journey, and whether it's anxiety or other chronic issues or diagnoses in my body, even a few years ago, further along on this journey, realizing this, teaching this, getting a diagnosis, I was like, oh my gosh, this is first, you feel the fear of whatever's coming up, the diagnosis of what you think is going to happen. And then I realized, okay, wow, my body is always leading the way. So just like my emotions, my physical body is also telling me something too. It's just showing me, just like Abraham talks about, if you guys are law of attractioners listening here, the emotional guidance scale, our emotions and our body, which is the more physical, dense part of energy, teach us, are we aligned with our inner being, our source, that the divine part of us, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever the name you like to give it. So when a physical thing happens,
I like to call it Joe.
When Joe's there,
Mhm.
and are we aligned or not? So a physical thing for me is just an opportunity to say, wow, there was this belief system, this energy pattern, something that's been there so either at the forefront or maybe in the background for so long has come into this physical manifestation. Here's a beautiful opportunity to get me to change. Our bodies are in the way. They are leading the way. I know I keep saying that, but when something like a cancer diagnosis or an autoimmune something, or these big diagnoses come up, it's really an opportunity for you to take a look and say, okay, what have I been doing? What can I do differently? And that includes how I look at my body, what I think, how I feel. Yes, maybe clean up the diet, the 3D thing too. But, your body's weight in kale is not going to save you if you're still stuck in fight or flight, or if you're still resisting all of this energy, or you're not feeling what's coming up, because, our bodies are going to move the energy in the way of least resistance. And sometimes for me, my body loves to do that through my skin and through the acne or whatever comes up. So if I'm moving a lot of energy or making big shifts in my life, my skin will just start to break out everywhere. I moved cross country over a year ago, started a new relationship, really restarted my life. And my skin, I was breaking out worse than a teenager, worse than my prepubescent self. And I was so judgmental of myself at the time, but I was like, oh my gosh, my body is helping clearing out all that old energy that I just physically decided to shift in my life. Still helping me. And as I started to talk to myself, talk to my body, work with my body and say, thank you so much for helping me. I'm so grateful that you are always leading the way, and not only you're guiding me, but it's also you're helping me, because energy is still going to move in the way of least resistance, and sometimes that's physical. And as soon as I started to do that, my skin just almost cleared up overnight. But it was when I was resisting, when I was judging and not allowing everything to happen is when it kept persisting, because what we resist will persist. So I started my journey really helping people with the more physical stuff, which I love, but I love to also talk about the emotional aspect of that, because so many people on their awakening journeys might be, wanting to work with their Kundalini or, work with their energy and tune into this. But if you don't have a foundation of being comfortable in your body, trusting your body, allowing it to become into the present moment and really build that momentum, yes, maybe you start to awaken that Kundalini energy, but it is so much easier when you can have that foundation of trust and ease and allowing and really understanding that your body is leading the way. So yes, chronic pain is something that you can look at in, not so much a 3D way. What is this teaching me? Maybe it's asking yourself, do I need to slow down? Do I need to be more mindful when I move? It just really depends on what's coming up for you. A really good resource is, Louise Hay. She has written a beautiful book, You Can Heal Your Body. And it's a little excerpt from You Can Heal Your Life. And it talks about many metaphysical causes of these physical issues. And that's a great place to start. 9 times out of 10, it's spot on of what I'm feeling or the emotion or belief underneath it. If it doesn't resonate for you, leave it and move on. But that's a beautiful resource on if you do have something chronic coming up to kind of start to take a look. Okay, what am I feeling? Maybe what is that belief underneath these symptoms or these physical manifestations, to help you to start to trust that body and start to understand that everything, even these physical ailments or manifestations, are here to get you to look at yourself, to get you to look at your life, to get you to look at this journey in a different way than you were. Cancer is here because it's the inability for people to grow. So it forces you to wake up and say, oh, okay, what am I doing with my life? What patterns, maybe it's something that's quote unquote hereditary. What patterns were people in my family who've had this before did? And I get this opportunity to become a totally different person, the person that is me and not somebody who is, just programmed to be like my family. So in terms of physical stuff, yep, that's what I would start. But I love working with the emotions and people who really want to jumpstart their energy journey, who know that they're here for more. And, that's my journey, is like, what am I here to give back? And it's really coming back to the body and being able to listen, and it'll guide the way.
So do you not think that our environment plays a role in our physical, like we're talking about specifically cancer?
Yeah.
I mean, we're reading that we're having all this plastic in our bodies, and the air is so polluted, and the water's polluted, and the fish have mercury and everything. So do you think that doesn't play a part?
I think it does. But, I trust that when I am aligned with myself, aligned with source, and I am in a state of rest and relax, and my energy is just flowing really strong, that my immune system, right, is going to really be able to fight off a lot of those things. Listen, I eat very, very healthy. I minimize all those things in my life, but some things we just have to, we can't avoid, like pollution for some, depending on where you live. And I do think that, you need to treat your body with respect, whether it's, the quality of water you drink, the quality of foods or skincare products. I do think that, you need to respect your body, but I also think that, I do create my reality, and I need to also, even more so, take a look at these beliefs and the energy underlying inside of me, because it's an opportunity for me to heal and release something that's maybe been with me for many lifetimes, but this is my opportunity to really change and step into more of who I really am.
I love everything you're saying. It brings up a lot of questions, but before I get into it, it feels like you're saying, when you say your body has the answers, it's almost like it's not just our bodies, it's our minds, it's our being, it's our three-dimensional personalities, lack of a better word, right? But then you keep talking about feminine energy and helping women and all these kinds of things, and we're getting into the sovereign sisterhood and all that kind of stuff in a minute. But just to clarify, this is just as good for men as it is for women, right? This pertains to wherever you are. It's not just women that get affected by this, that can take benefit from doing these kinds of things. I just want to confirm that, right?
Oh, 100%. I think women are more so naturally, and I think I see so many brothers awakening to their true selves and their callings right now. But women with the physical aspect, obviously I'm a woman, and how I integrate this energy is very feminine aspect. Men, and other women, you might understand this and do it through a more physical way, like working out, or, something in a different way, but we all can access this wisdom, whether it's through a runner's high or that post-yoga bliss. Like, this is the kind of wisdom I'm talking about, is moving through the body in order to connect to that higher part, that divine part of you. So it doesn't matter what sex you identify with, what energy you identify with. This is a universal truth. It is more naturally, I would say, feminine in its aspect, because it's through the body, embodiment. And a masculine approach to the same thing is, kind of going outside of the body, meditation, and that aspect. But it really doesn't matter. We have both energies. So whatever works for you.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I was going, where I'm a man, but I have a lot of feminine energy in me, where I know Karen is a woman. She has a lot of masculine energy, and it's perfectly, we go in and out. There's a flux. So if you're a dude listening to this thing, don't let this all throw you. This is just as good. Don't tune out. Don't hit the stop button. This is good for you as well as for the women. We need to take a break. So we're going to take a pause, just a quick few minutes. Stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to talk to Loren about how to, now that we've talked about the importance of doing it, how to now connect with the body so that we can be more in tune with what we need. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to The Reluctant Medium, where we cover the gamut of out there conversations. With an open mind and a curious heart, we want to talk about it all. From psychic phenomena to beings from other star systems, from energy medicine to out-of-body experiences, and much more. You'll find a great balance between grounded science-backed topics and others that science hasn't quite caught up to yet. From the explainable to the miraculous, we want to know about it. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenberger, a psychotherapist by trade and a reluctant spirit baby communicator. And hey, even though I'm a medium, I'm not buying everything folks are selling. I just have a voracious appetite to know more about what I call the world of the weird. And maybe I'll try a few things on for size. Join us on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube at The Reluctant Medium. We'll see you there.
And now back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We're talking to Loren Cellentani. We're talking about the body and really the three-dimensional personality that we have on this planet, how important it is to be in tune with it, because really we have all the answers inside of us. So we're constantly going out to new modalities and all these kinds of things, and those are wonderful as well. But the first step is to really get to know yourself and what's inside you and what you need in your body. So, Loren, right before we left, we talked about how the fact that this is good for men and women and all that kind of stuff, but we also teased that we're going to find out how now to get better in tune with our bodies. So let's just go right into it. How can we, now that we know the importance of being in tune with the body, how can we connect with it?
I think first and foremost, I use the word allow a lot. And whether it's like I mentioned my acne example or whatever emotions coming up for you is just to allow yourself to feel. Because if you're looking at yourself and you have a face covered in zits, there's probably an emotion associated with that coming up right now for you. Judgment, shame, whatever, and embarrassment. And the most important thing about this is to allow yourself to feel that. Like, there's no bad emotions. And I mentioned earlier in the show that so many people want to start working with our energy or those chakras and awaken that Kundalini force, but emotions are the easiest way for you to do that. That is your energy. That is that life force trying to move through you. And the more that we resist something, or the more that we really try to move something, like really push and like talking about more masculine, the more that it's going to really persist. So if something, let's say like embarrassment is coming up for you with this acne, going along with this example, is to just let yourself really feel what does embarrassment feel like, and allow that feeling to overcome you. You're not going to die from feeling embarrassed. You'll be okay, I promise you. And to allow that sensation to come through your body. And sometimes when you start to practice this, you'll start to feel maybe that emotions in your chest or in your gut or your hip. You'll start to feel. And that's what I love to teach and help people build that awareness in their own way, in their own bodies, and start to feel where that energy is, where that emotion is, and start to open your focus around where that's coming, which means focusing on where that feeling is in your body, and start to think about building this beautiful circle or the sphere around it, opening it up and allowing that energy to dissipate outside of you, or maybe come up. I keep talking about Kundalini, coming up that beautiful light channel through your body. When I feel an emotion, like I gotta say, like I still have the emotions daily. My partner, God love him, helps me work through this, even though I teach these people these things. And it's like he has to remind me when I'm feeling, whatever's coming up. Maybe I'm mad he didn't do the dishes, or even though he does a beautiful job with the dishes, but whatever emotions or 3D thing that's coming up for me, and I just want to keep going. I know it's not about the thing that's coming up. It's about me being present, feeling that emotion, moving it through my body. It's very intuitive once you start to practice this. And just allow underneath, okay, but yeah, it really wasn't about you not putting your dishes in the dishwasher. This is what I've been feeling. Here's the wisdom that's uncovered for me. And to be able to move along with your life. Because when we start pushing things down, that's when sometimes the physical manifestations happen. like diagnoses and things pop up into your life that you might not really like, but that because you're consistently feeling these emotions that you're resisting or pushing down, what you feel on a consistent basis creates your reality. So when you can allow, it's not going to create more embarrassment if you just truly feel those emotions in the moment. I think I forget the study, but I think it's like under 20 seconds if you truly feel an emotion and allow it to move through your body, it'll dissipate and go away. Anything more than that is actually you're replicating it. So really being present in your body doesn't take long at all. And the second step in this is really just understanding and approaching life and yourself and this thing called your body with love and not judging yourself for having the acne or feeling embarrassed or feeling this rage. Yeah, partner not doing dishes,
See,
the
Karen,
thing.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you.
So you're the cause of my hip pain.
I'm here to help you to face what that hip pain is actually talking to you about.
I face you every day.
Yeah.
So when you're working with people, it sounds like you really kind of have to help them learn how to, pull back a lot of layers because if we go back to the acne example, so you get the acne, but there's some underlying cause of the acne, but then you have the acne and then you're embarrassed. So the embarrassment, I think, would add to the acne. So you've got like the double whammy going on. Like how easy or difficult is it for the people that you work with to start to unravel all of this?
Yeah, and that's why I really work with the emotions first, because the physical stuff, right, is dense. There's more persistent emotions or patterns going on. Building the awareness of am I in the present moment or not? What am I feeling, and starting to allow myself to feel that and approach everything in my life and my body with love and acceptance. Because when we can love ourselves, we're never going to judge ourselves or hate ourselves into any change. We're never going to shame ourselves to be able to change long term.
I don't know.
I don't.
I've hated myself enough to make a like when you finally go, I can't stand myself. I need to change, right? There's an emotional component behind it, right?
There's a defining moment when you're like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm like Gandalf on the bridge. I'm going to, none shall pass. I'm not, I'm done. Like, I think there's so much power, and I think it's two different things. I totally agree with you. There are two different things where there comes a part in your moment in your life when you're like, there's got to be something better than this. I am tired of this bull crap. Like when you draw that line in the sand, that decision is so powerful. That amplitude energetically is going to send out ripples into the whole universe, into your own reality that, you are done with this. But what are we going to just still behave and think and act and feel in the same way that we were in the life that we didn't want? No. We're going to do something differently because when we become this personality and in this body, we're going to feel and think in the same way. So what I'm saying is, love yourself. Yeah. You might have the old part of you still come up that you don't like, that you're trying to change, that you're tired of, but don't judge that part. Like that's been a part of you for God knows how long. And to allow that to come up and say, oh, that's just my jealous part coming up. She helped me so much up to this point. She got me here. Like, thank you so much. Not only am I going to feel you, once we start to understand these parts of ourselves, like you're talking about and I'm talking about right now, these characters, so to speak, of our old life that we don't want to really take with us, we want to love them and see them for what they are. That they were just this really defense mechanism or the survival mechanism that we developed at some point, either this lifetime, past lifetimes. It doesn't matter. What matters is to be able to feel it. And sometimes we realize, and I've done this in my own life, when I'm trying to change, I like to write down the emotions that I'm feeling every single day, especially when I've really pinpointed what I want to change in my life. What am I feeling day to day? What am I thinking about these things? And you'll start to see a pattern over a week or 2 weeks of writing your emotions down. I'm really addicted to certain emotions when it comes to this topic or just my life in general. So really allowing yourself to feel these emotions allows them to move through you just as much as we want to feel and move through the quote unquote lower emotions, the same with the quote unquote good or high vibe emotions. We don't want to hold on to anything, vice grip for too long because it's going to go sour. It's going to go bad. So just when I talk about the self-love, is even when those icky parts of you, quote unquote, the shadow side comes up, just to love it and be like, oh, I know why you come back up. I'm changing something more now. And of course, these old patterns are going to come up because it's trying to keep me in that old reality. It's trying to keep me safe. Thank you so much for trying to do that. But you know what? I got this. I got this.
So it's really forgiving yourself for being, having been that way and understanding that you might have some backslides, but forgive yourself for what you've done, but face forward with who you want to become.
Yeah.
Well, in the pre-production notes that you sent us, you dropped a term in there that I went, I got to make sure I ask her what this is. And in order so I don't mess it up, I'm going to bring up my notes. You said that we can become a vessel of creation. I need some clarity into what you mean by that.
So this kind of came to me, of course, during I was at a breathwork retreat during a ceremony, and intuitively, I was just like, all right, divine, bigger part of me, I'm out of the way. Still, whatever needs to come through me in this lifetime right now to give back to the world. Like, I am the vessel of creation. I am this vessel. Like, fill me up. So the irony is here, we start to feel these things, allow these things, work with our body, trust our bodies. But in order to become more of our quote unquote higher selves in this embodiment, we need to get out of the way. We need to surrender and allow this divine to move through us. And I know it's kind of easier said than done, and we're kind of like, oh, okay, this is a little vague here. But the reason why I work so much with the body and getting yourself to allow and to trust is when you can go deep through the body or whatever modality works for you, connect to that higher part of you. You not only can listen to what's coming through, but you also can ask, how can I be of service? What do I need to know? Because we consume so much data, so much, social media. We're just consuming. But are we really listening to us, to that higher power? I start with the body, but the end goal really is to lead to that divine part of you, that higher being part of you, so that you feel you have built enough trust in yourself, in your own experience, to be able to connect and really listen to that intuition at a deeper level. Because I truly believe, you guys have this beautiful platform to not only share your hearts and your energy, but to hold a space for people like myself to share their healing message with the world. And I truly believe our own stories, our bodies specifically, are all here leading the way. And I keep saying this phrase over and over, but leading the way to who you're really supposed to be this lifetime, to that highest potential, to that part of you, that higher self that wants to come through here, but that all comes through your own healing journey. And I truly believe we each have our own message, our own modality, our own passion to bring to the world. And when we can continue to listen to that and act upon that, I know this new evolution of humanity, this new earth, you might be so negative on where the world is going. But when we can individually start to lead with being that vessel of creation, which is just being more of who we really are, and allowing our gifts to unfold in whatever way excites us, in whatever way we love to share that with the world, that's when true change will happen and will ripple across consciousness itself, this reality, and so much more. So that's what I mean. And feel free to ask more questions. But that's really my higher purpose here.
I am fascinated by what you just mentioned because it speaks a lot towards why we do the show. It's perfect. It's perfection. All right. So then let's move our attention to the Sovereign Sisterhood and the Witchy Wellness podcast, right? Am I saying that right?
You are.
Okay, because you've got a lot going on. So give us a breakdown on the podcast and then the Sovereign Sisterhood.
Yeah, so Witchy Wellness Radio, I've had this podcast for over 5 years now, which feels crazy to say. And I was actually taking a bath, loving my body, being present, talking about what I just preached this whole episode. And the phrase, your body is not in the way, it's actually leading the way, just plopped right in. You know those moments where you're like, I didn't think, where did that come from? Like just the download happens.
Yeah.
And that was really the inspiration to start the podcast, Witchy Wellness Radio. And that's the tagline of the show. And that's my mission, is all the things I talked about today, having beautiful guests on, just like you guys do here, to share their hearts, share their wisdom, because you never know what that one podcast, that inspiration that might ignite you or a loved one that can really change your life. And that's why I started Witchy Wellness Radio so many years ago,
Right.
because that's your divine intuition. That's your body. That's your higher self speaking through you, is that spark of intuition that might inspire. Oh, maybe that sounds like me. Maybe I could do something like that, or heal this.
You never know which
You never
podcast is going to get you that nugget. And that's why I subscribe to 65 of them. Because I'm going to find it one way or the other.
Or it'll find you. That when you're ready, the teachers will come. They will find you.
Well, I'm giving it plenty of opportunity to find me.
Oh, beautiful. And then my beautiful program that I have is the Sovereign Sisterhood. It is everything I talked about here today. And what my mission is, I mentioned it a little bit, is teaching these foundational principles, making them your own. Like, it's good to know something, but to actually practice it, to be able to teach it, and not teach it, but live it in your life, and to make it work for you, to become your own master coach. Like, I don't want these people to keep asking me, what should I do? What does this mean? I want you to learn to listen to your body, to listen to the intuition, to be able to listen to your higher self and become that vessel of creation. So I teach that, and I also teach you how to have these conversations with other people, to, in the community, actually hold space for another sister, another member, to ask, what's coming up for you, and to be able to learn to listen to another person. Because what I've found is learning this myself is one thing, but to be able to practice this in a relationship is a whole nother level. So to be able to start to learn to listen to other people in a different way, because you really do learn through the wisdom and experience of other people and what they're coming through too, not only in your own story, but the stories of other people. So that's a big proponent. And that's why we call it sisterhood, because it's about building this foundation internally so you can grow it in relationships, whether it's in the sisterhood long-term or with other people in your life, because, we want to be around people. We want to share our hearts. We want to share our love. And as soon as we really start to do this deep healing work, every single person, whether I have them in my podcast or I know them in my personal life, every time that you overcome something in your life, you want to give back to the world. Like I mentioned before, that vessel of creation. When your heart is so full and overflowing, all you want to do is give and to love and to build those relationships, whether it's a business or just in your personal life. So if you guys want to learn more, you can head onto my website, lorencellentani.com. I'm on Instagram and on YouTube as well. I would love to hear from you guys. I also love a good meme and good humor over on Instagram too. So if you guys like these guys' here's humor, you'll definitely appreciate mine. So I would love to hear from you guys.
And if you don't like our sense of humor, don't let that stop you, because she's got great things too, right? It's not just that. So Loren, this has been wonderful.
Yes.
You are a joy to talk to. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your wisdom with us and our audience. You sent a lot of nuggets to the person who is listening, who needs it right now. So
many.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you want to reach out to Loren, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com and go to her episode page. We will lay in direct links to all her social media and her website directly on our website. So please don't be shy. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Oh, such an honor.
And a huge thank you to you. Yes, you, the person that hit play on this episode. We know that there are tons of options out there, and having you decide to come along on our journey of discovery with us is an absolute honor for us. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. If you did and you feel called to give back, we invite you to visit our website at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can donate to the show or subscribe as a member through our Buy Me a Coffee campaign. Your support will go a long way towards allowing Karen and I to bring you these wonderful conversations and teachings in more and more robust ways. Of course, if contributing to the show content is what you're looking for instead, we'd love for you to contribute by sending us a voicemail or an email from our website, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform that supports them. Karen and I love hearing from those that are moved to message us. It truly does fuel our passion. You are the reason we do this show, and knowing what you like and don't like help us craft the very best show we can so that we can help raise the vibration of the planet together. Now, if you know someone who would benefit from hearing the message we're sharing on the show, do them and us a favor and share the show with them. It will help get the word out about us, and it might just change someone's life for the better. Well, that's all for now. We will see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.